To another episode of John's Kitchen, a very, very popular show in a very unique community. How you doing, everybody? Today I'm going to be preparing for you in my kitchen, which is turned into a little bit of a studio here, Tsukemen, which is really cool. Check this out. So I have two varieties here. This is made by Nissin, which is very famous for making the cup noodles, right? Check this out. They also make this, which is Tsukemen. And I looked at the picture on this, and it looked so delicious. Look at that chashu steak and the noodles, and we have the negi in here, and there's some menma in the corner. Tsukemen is sort of like ramen, except that it's not. It's been separated. The noodles go in one bowl, and the soup goes in another bowl. And then you dip the noodles into the soup, and it's just so good. So I thought I would make this today with you. I also have this other flavor. I'm probably not gonna make both of them. How you doing? Probably not gonna make both of them, but this one just seems to look better. I always like the richer soup more. This one looks a little bit richer. So we're not gonna be making this one, but it is on the list. I also wanted to show you why I'm doing a stay-at-home episode today. That's Shibuya Hachiko Scramble right now. That does not look so safe to me. That's a live camera. So I thought instead of going out today, I would stay home and make some tsukemen because it just kind of looks a little bit, how do I say, a little bit scary to be out there. So let's just stick in the kitchen here. I also bought, to make sure after the last cooking failure, that I get some of the ingredients. This is Hokkaido chashu, and chashu is a steak. Now, you don't actually have to cook this, but I might cook it. It's already been pre-cooked. You just throw it on there, and then that fat melts into the soup, which is pretty good. Hey, Edo is here. Edo Vendors from Holland. This is the Hanjuku half-boiled ajitama. Look at that. That looks so good. But does it really deliver? We're going to find this out by putting this into the soup. I also have menma, which are bamboo. It's kind of bamboo sprouts that have been pickled. They're so good, crunchy, perfect in ramen. They also are in here, so I figured I might as well buy some. And then I got some small negi, which I guess they're using big ones here, but these are a little bit greener. So I did not have to prepare anything. Kind of just bought it at the supermarket. All right, are you ready for this success? Now, Kanai has no confidence that I will do this. Jishin ga nai desho. She's probably watching in the other room just laughing. It's not fair. So she doesn't get any of this, okay? It's just for us. The first step here on the directions, and it kind of makes it easy because they put the picture here. Raj is cracking up right there. I think it's pretty funny too. If you're not going to be supportive, and you think it's going to be a failure, when I do succeed, which I probably won't, she won't get any. Actually, this is two people's. We're going to open it up and see what's inside, but the directions are pretty simple. Boil the noodles for 5 minutes. 4 minutes gives it a little bit of katamen. Then add 100 milliliters of water to make the soup, and then add the tare packet. Next, you want to wash the noodles with a strainer, and then put the noodles into the bowl and enjoy. It looks pretty simple, so I don't know how anybody could fail at this, but I usually find a way. All right, let's open up this package, see what's inside. Smell test, nothing, it's all packaged. All right, okay, so we get double the noodle packs. One for me and one for me. You know what? Okay, I'll make one for her too. Everyone's keeping me honest. There's also 2 packs of tare, which is actually quite big, a lot bigger than the ramen ones. I know tsukemen is a much richer dipping sauce than in ramen's broth. And then there's some dashi, which if you don't like dashi, I don't think you have to add it in there, but it's there. We're gonna add that all in together. And I could ask Kanai for help, but I've decided not to do that. I will know if I'm going wrong by giggling in the other room. Let's start. No, this way. There we go. So I do have a pot here. I'm gonna put some water in here. And then we're gonna boil this at boiling. I know what I'm doing. The thing with boiling water is if you look at it, it does boil faster, I've been told by reputable chefs. They tell me, reputable to whom? That's the question. The noodle packs do look fresh. Now, I did buy this about, all disclosure, I bought this. Hey, Brent Downey is in the house. How you doing? And WRX Turbo, how you doing? I did buy this about 2 weeks ago. So this is the last day that it actually expires tomorrow. So I had no choice. Actually, it expires now. I had no choice. I had to eat it by today, you see. So this episode it had to be done. So while we're watching the water, while I'm watching the water, check this out here. That's just insane, right? That's Hachiko Scramble in Shibuya, not that far away. That is so many people. What are they doing? This is why I can't go outside. It's just kind of, although people are they seem to be wearing masks, okay? It's just, yeah, abort. Hey, Nosh, I thought you were doing the live stream. I just got a notification. Are you doing both at the same time? All right, so while we're doing that, let's open up the chashu steak. Oh, you know what? No. All right, I can prepare the dashi. So, we do have to put this in the bowl. And I should start to boil on the other burner. We have gas burners in Japan. I'll turn the fan on. We do have to boil the water for the dashi. The one thing about Japan that's really great, everything is perforated. So it's so easy to open it up. Look at this. There's an arrow to tell you where to open it. Usually you have to use a scissors in the US. Not in Japan. It's just so easy. Oh, that's nasty. Turn this light on. Ooh, look at the congealed fat. Tony wants some fat? Tony wants some fat? No, he doesn't. Okay. Put it in the bowl. Oh, man. This looks like miso paste. Blah. Blah. Don't lick it. Ugh. It's real salty. I tried to lick it, just like when you lick the cookie batter, cookie dough. You can eat that raw. Don't try to do it with this. Use the water. It's kind of fatty and salty, a little nasty. It's not cookie batter. It's not cookie batter. All right, so while we put the noodles in here, I'm gonna use a timer. All right, it's now 2:44. We're taking this out at 2:49. Ready? I can give you a better angle. That's not such a good angle. Here. Watch this. We're taking it out in 4 minutes. Somebody use a timer. Let me know in the chat. I'm not gonna fail this time. I'm not gonna fail this time. Okay, there we go. Gonna make good, delicious Tsukemen. Alright, that's noodles here. Jalapeno already says fail. What did I do? No. All right, I measured exactly 100 milliliters, so let's put this in here. That does look kind of nasty. All right, that's exactly 100 milliliters. nasty on the side there. Clean it up. Oh, it's starting to look better. Oh. Oh. Come on, get no chunks. How do I get rid of this chunk? Oh! All right, we got 2 minutes left. How do I get rid of these chunks? I think it's working. Just keep doing this. Kunai, the chunks... I'm not allowed to call her. The chunks won't go away. It's getting a little bit better. It's getting thicker. This is hard work. All right, I'm opening up this Chash's steak. I think if I try to cook it, it's gonna fail. Keep on the timer. We have 2 minutes. Ooh, Chash steak. Nice. I guess you don't have to cook it. Just put it in there. Just gonna put one in there. I forgot the dashi. This is going so well. Because it could be worse. Yes, it could be better. But it definitely could be worse. Alright, we got 1 minute. Alright, what menma, real quick, menma. Could be better. Come on, menma. It's not a stress. There's a timer at your back here. Okay. Alright, now let's cut open the ajitama here. Look, even this one you don't need scissors. You just go like this. Oh. Finger licking good. Ajitama. Make a mess in the kitchen. Drop that right in there. Noodles done. Alright, next up. Irashaimase! Irashaimase! Irashaimase. Don't look in the sink. Who wrote that? There's nothing to see here. Just mind your own business. That's it! That's it! It looks done to me. Alright, let me remove this mess so it doesn't look as bad as it looks. Clean it up so it's not as bad. Alright, I'm gonna pan down in T-minus 10 seconds. If we can get to 500 likes, it'll give me more courage. Because I don't have much courage right now to show you this. You ready for this? Oh man. Hey, Adrian M is a new. Okay, it's supposed to look like this. All right, it's supposed to look like this. How close are we? That is not that bad. I mean, it could be worse, right? It looks pretty good. You could eat this, right? Be honest. You could eat this. Ajitama. We have here some negi. There's some chash and menma in there. Saya is actually has a very, I'm like salivating emoji there. Rose writes in, looks yummy. Hoo Hoo USA, it's fat awesome. That's pretty good. James Boardman is happy. The internet seems to like this. It's real negi, absolutely. It's all true story. Yes. Raymond Centeno, this is much better than the first ramen attempt. I think so. I agree with you. And even the Tsukemen looks good. Now, we have to eat this thing because we don't want it to sit here all day. All right. I guess the only way to do it is I have to get down. Can do it from above. All right. This is how we do it. And Katayama can see the Pop-Tarts and the graham crackers a little bit back there. The almond slices. All right, let's try this here. There's no way to do it, really. Itadakimasu. Whoa. So dip it in the dipping sauce. Then eat it. That's really good. I think this is a success. This should be considered a success. And this is the first time in the history of me in this kitchen. You know, I'm actually not that bad of a cook that you know of. Now I wanna actually take a look now at that ajitama. All right, are you ready for this? Let's use the good camera. So I want to show you what does the ajitama actually look like here. So inside of the soup, as we go ASMR, look at the chash steak. Oh, that looks so good. You can almost eat it. Some leftover noodles. Where'd the menma go? Here it is. Wow, I made this. And look at this egg here. You ready for the shot here? Break the ajitama. Break it real good. Oh. That's not... See, they never really cook it. It's usually cooked too much. But it still looks pretty good. Wow. What do you guys think? Thumbs up? Would you eat this? If I made this and presented it to you as a friend, would you eat it or not trust it? Just let me know in your comments. I think I would eat it. I trust me, because I'm me. But if I were you, I don't know how I would react. The great thing with Tsukemen is that it's fun. It's like dipping the noodles. Ramen, you know, you slurp the noodles because the broth is hot, and that's not really, I mean, the chef can hear you doing it, and that's a way to show appreciation that you're eating the ramen really quickly. That's one reason why Japanese slurp the noodles. But really, when I talk to people in a more, like, is that really true kind of a thing? Like really? Did they do it? I think the chef is happy that you're slurping the noodles because it means you're going to get out of there really quickly so that the next customer is going to get there a lot faster. If you're sitting there talking, and I put the camera on a smaller tripod. If you're sitting there talking, the chef's not going to be happy. So slurping is an indication that you're going to be done real fast. So let's give this a proper try. We've done a pretty good job here. What say you, internet? Nagoya John's in the house. I can't like your video 500 times, man, but your presentation looks good. And I'd be grateful if you serve me that. Nagoya John, I appreciate that. Don't like it 500 times. Just once is enough. Ready? I'm pretending like I'm in the restaurant now. Pick up your noodles. Oh, dip them in the sauce. Mmm. Pick up that ajitama. Mmm. That's good. Look at that chosh steak. Mmm. You know, the steak looks pretty gross in the bag, but actually, when it's been sitting in the hot water for a while, the fat will melt a little bit into the broth, giving it even more of a robust taste. The chosh steak has been grilled a little bit, so I can taste some of that. That chosh steak has been sitting in broth or something. I don't know what it is, but it's got a really good flavor to it. And the menma, of course, let's see if we can find a piece of menma, is always good. Menma as a topping adds a crunch to it, and it's really important to have that. Tsukemen is my favorite. I like udon more than ramen, but I like tsukemen more than udon. The reason why Tsukemen is really good is because I like the taste of the noodles. I like the consistency of the noodles. If the noodles were to sit inside the broth too long in ramen, they start to get soggy. But I boiled these noodles for exactly 5 minutes, as it says on the directions, and it's somewhat like katamen, a little bit of tension to it. It's not super soft. It's not soft like ramen, and the noodles in Tsukemen are a little bit thicker than in ramen. Again, there's different varieties have different styles, but some tsukemen noodles will be a little bit thicker. Some will be the same as ramen, to be honest with you. But when you dip it into the sauce, the taste of the noodles, I believe, is more important than the broth. And I think with ramen, maybe the broth is a little bit more important than the noodles. You seem to get more of the broth taste, and that's sort of the difference. Now, the broth for tsukemen is quite thick. You can eat it like a stew. It's almost like a stew consistency. Mm. Mm. But in Tsukemen restaurants, you'll see that they're on top of the counter. There's actually like a water spigot looking thing on the table quite often, which is the hot water from the noodles, and you can pour that into the broth. It makes it into a lighter soup, and then you can actually drink the remaining soup. It's so good. Typically, ramen is quite oily. So is this a little bit, but when you add in the water, it flattens out the oils and makes it a little bit thinner, and you get to eat it like a soup, and it's quite good. So you don't really waste anything. I know a lot of friends will do that. They'll ask for the hot water to add to it to get rid of the thick saltiness of it, and then you can just drink it and relax with that if your noodles are done. A lot of tsukemen places will also give you refilled noodles if you pay, I don't know, like another $1. And if your soup is getting cold, some of the places like Tetsu, which is a chain here, they'll give you a yaki ishi, or a hot rock. Sometimes it's actually made of metal because it's easier to clean. And they will put the hot rock into the broth, and it starts to boil violently and warms up the soup for you. And it's just kind of a fun presentation. Some of the shops do have that. You can ask for yaki ishi, and they'll bring a hot rock to you. Especially if you see the hot rocks like baking at the entrance, you know that they have yaki ishi. So it's good to ask for that. Tsukemen, often the noodles are the same price. You can get a super large size tsukemen, costs the same as usually a small size of noodles. The amount of noodles that you order at most tsukemen shops does not change. You can get extra noodles for the same price. Sometimes they'll refill it after you've made the order because it requires cooking time, right? They have to cook the noodles, so that makes a lot of sense. But if I have to compare between ramen and tsukemen, every time Tsukemen wins because it's just more fun. But it's a very close battle. It's a very close battle. Mmm. This brand, oh, is Nissin, which makes cup noodles, and every now and then you'll see them bring out the flavors of some of these masters here, and they do a great job of capturing it. This one is another pork bone based broth. Look at that chash steak, but it doesn't come with the egg and the chash steak, just the soup, so you have to buy that separate. One of these packs cost me about $2.50 for two. That is a steal. So it's $1.25 for one person, but the toppings start to add up. If you want the quality memma, this pack costs about $2. You can get it a lot cheaper. This chash steak from Hokkaido cost me $5. And it's 3 pieces in there, so you can put one piece, and maybe one piece, you can save it. That's quite expensive, but the chash steak adds a lot of flavor to it. That's the most expensive part of this. And then the negi was less than $1 for this, and it's a pretty good meal. I'm quite happy, and I think I will prepare this one for Kanai, who stopped giggling. Huh? It's because I proved to her that I can make this if I fail a couple of times. And if you want to see those failures, don't, but they are available on Only Japan live streaming channel from earlier last year. I guess because we're staying at home. When I was staying home last year, I was more in the kitchen, more at home, trying to find ways, delivery food, things like this, until the situation got better. The state of emergency in Tokyo has been extended another 2 weeks. We kind of expected that, but I will be trying to do my best to keep this channel interesting for you to watch, because it's not as much fun as going on a trip and traveling around the country. But the icing on the cake, or the writing on the wall, or the cherry on the sundae, there's a lot of metaphors, is that in 2 weeks this will be effectively, the state of emergency will be lifted. Like, I'm pretty sure. And I'll be able to travel again more freely. I just want to respect the law as much as possible. So I'll be in the local areas for the next, at least for the next 10 days, unless I'm invited. If I'm invited to go somewhere to film, I do get on the train and we'll go, because it's more than just a, it's not a vacation. It's actually a job. Does anybody have any questions about Tsukemen from Nissin or any kind of Japanese food in general? I will now take questions for the next 2 minutes. Can't believe I've been doing this for 30 minutes. It went by in like 5 minutes. It's crazy. This is really good, guys. This is really good. Can you order, some good questions here. Can you order instant ramen online and have it shipped to Japan from other countries? I think you could from amazon.co.jp. It'll tell you, Amazon will tell you if it can be exported or not, but of course the shipping costs are going to be higher. The shipping costs for the United States are going to go up in April, by the way. This is something I've been telling my supporters, who are Daimyo supporters, who I send packages to. The charges will go up in April, so I've been trying to add more Daimyo supporters. I think there's one on the Patreon site right now that's available. So, in the market, is that the refrigerated section or the frozen section? That's a good question. It's actually in the refrigerated section. There's aisles so these are refrigerated, so they're somewhat fresh. There's aisles in there, where it's an open refrigerator. They're stacked in rows, and then you can, usually on the top are the toppings, and sometimes you can just get the broth from the ramen. You can pick the different broths, and then you can just pick the ramen noodles and then make your own ramen in the refrigerated section. So if you want tonkotsu, if you want spicy miso, you can pick that broth separately. Some of the supermarkets have that, which is pretty cool in Japan. Spiral Lighting writes in here, "Hi John, my Japanese hubby rented us an apartment in Nagatacho, Fuji City. Oh, very cool. What do you think of the area?" I was just in Fuji City. I highly recommend Fuji City. It's one of these places between Nagoya and Tokyo that a lot of people don't stop in. I loved my time there. It's not a super exciting city with attractions, except for every time you go outside your door, you look up and Mount Fuji is this big. I used to live in Fujinomiya, the neighboring town. It was amazing to open up my window in the morning, get a cup of coffee, and just look at the clouds rolling past or behind Mount Fuji. Or some days it's not even there, just because it's enveloped in humidity or something. But it's a beautiful place. Great food in Fuji City. The people were friendly. I just made an episode on Mount Fuji green tea that sort of shows that entire area, including Nagatacho, I believe. And I did have a bunch of live streams there 3 months ago. So you might want to check that out. Fuji City is high on my list as places to stop. Just spend a day or two, rent a bicycle at Shin Fuji Station and ride around there. Good question. Thanks for asking. How soon can we travel to Japan? Ken writes in here. I'm not sure, but according to Qantas, which is what I said to which is what I brought up in the live stream yesterday. They said that flights from Australia to Japan are going to be starting up in October, which means I guess they have some information that we don't have. They are more confident that October things are going to be safe enough to return, at least for Australians, which does not have a big problem like in a lot of other countries. So I think that the returning to travel to Japan will probably be regional at first, maybe Taiwan, Korea, which don't have such a big problem. I'm not sure what's happening in China. I don't think many people are. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and then we have Australia, Indonesia as well. I'd like to see my Indonesian friend Satrio's got to make the trip over, right? And we would love to see. I'd love to see more people here, despite the risks. It's just really, really quiet and lonely, and not the same without you. It's more fun if people are going, "Hey John," and I look around and go, "Hey you, nice person watching the show." You know what I mean? Get to make some friends. Hong Kong as well, yeah. Need to bring goods back to Australia. Thank you so much. You're really appreciate. I am still nowhere near John's level, but hope I can reach it someday. You mean level of cooking? Trust me, you're already there. If I can make this, anybody can make this. Do you think you could make a only in Japan video on instant ramen? I kind of did, and it kind of went badly. Actually, the first time I did it, I think it was like last April. The first time I did it, it was really, really not received well by the internet, including Japanese viewers and Japanese wives who said even my husband could make that. It was actually not a confidence booster. Trevor Beck's here. What's your top 5 flavors of broth? That's really 5 flavors of broth. I would have to say kara miso is my favorite. That's a spicy miso broth. Then I would have to go with shoyu, which is just a good old standard one. Then tonkotsu, which is a really thick pork bone. I don't know. It's really hard. I love miso ramen the most. The up there they have a very more like oily version in Hokkaido, which I like. It has a lot more flavor of shoyu ramen, and then salt ramen, which I think is a little plain, but it's not that bad. Might even be better for you. It's called shio ramen. Is up there too. But kara miso negi ramen is my favorite. And you better mountain up that negi. I want a mountain of green onions on top of that, because I love the onions. And then you work your way through the onions. It's very healthy too, right? And then you get to the broth and the noodles, and it's really good. For me, the kara miso negi ramen, my favorite. It's like instant. If that's on the menu, that's what I get. Even if the shop's not famous for it, I might not get it then. Let's see here. What is the most bizarre, unexpected ramen you have tried? No, Satrio, not more oil than ramen. What is the most bizarre? There's a lot of oil. Most unexpected ramen you have tried. That Men Bakudai in Kyoto has the fire ramen. That was pretty weird. They put like a fire oil on top of it and makes a fireball. The problem with that is the ramen was bad. I didn't like the taste of it. And if you're going with the taste, it's not worth the price. But if you're going for performance and getting an Instagram picture, it's really good. And I don't know if the chef, I wouldn't, if I was a chef, I wouldn't be proud of the taste. I think it's very average. That's why 90% of the people coming in there are tourists, and they charge double the price of a bowl of ramen. So if there's a queue of tourists out the door, they make a heck of a lot more money than they would if the locals came. I don't think many locals go in there to try that fire ramen. It's also a pain in the neck to have to go like this before you eat because a fireball is coming right at you. But that was pretty weird. Um, don't get me wrong though, there is some very good burned oil ramen. I had this, there was an Okinawa ramen shop in Tokyo, in Ginza, that I used to go to. It was a black ramen, but in order to make the black ramen, they actually burned the, the miso with fire inside with oil. They would flame it, and you'd see from the kitchen, poof. They didn't make a presentation out of it. It was actually used to enhance the flavor. Where Membakudai, I think they kind of do it as a presentation to sell more ramen to get tourists in the door. They did this as actually a technique to enhance the flavor, and it was really good. They would actually have the chasha steak had a really incredible, just burned taste to it, like a I don't know how they did it, but there was a salty, crunchy, burned charcoal goodness to it that it was, and the steak was like this thick. When you get steaks that this thick, you know it's going to be like an experience, right? It's so good. The best ramen I might have had was in Asahikawa. And I say this because you can't compare. I had some awesome ramen in Fukuoka, in Hakata. And then I had, I believe it's called the Nakatsu area. It was really good. It was a place that was more, it was tonkotsu ramen, but mixed, but the broth was not so thick. And I thought that was the best. Until I had the one up in Asahikawa. When I was hitchhiking, the driver who picked me up took me to a place. And I remember sitting down with him, and I looked at the picture and I said, "Oh my!" I'll see if I can put it on Instagram. I remember looking at the picture and said, "I've never seen anything like this." The steak, the chashu steak, was incredible. It was massively thick. This is a Saikawa in Hokkaido, so they probably got a ton of pork steaks up there. That whole city's probably a big pork steak. And I remember picking it up. Like, it was voluminous, it was amazing, and it was just grilled perfectly, and it so much enhanced the taste of the broth and the noodles. It just all went together, and I left there, I was bulging and so happy, and I went to sleep that night like a baby. I couldn't eat anything else. The next morning I wasn't even hungry, but I was still pretty happy. I remember that was the best ramen I've ever had. I'll see if I can find the name of it and put it on Instagram, or on. I'll put it in the Discord server. How about that? That's a good. That's a good. They had a website too, so you can check it out. That was pretty good. But I'm always finding that there's new ramens coming into town. Tokyo is very competitive. Ichijoji in Kyoto is an incredible ramen town. I think they have the most ramen shops per capita in one area, which is pretty crazy. Any other questions? I'll take one more because I gotta go. Gotta edit. No? Nothing? I'm looking here. It moves. I might miss your questions sometimes. I do apologize. I thought my eyebrows were gone when they poured the fire in Rated G channel. I know, right? It's really crazy up there. It's a fun shop though. It's near Nijo Castle, I believe. Is Kanai looking through the gap in the door? I did that because I have this feeling that the Wi-Fi is worse if I close the door because the signal can't break through it, but it's probably okay. Burnt food makes your teeth clean. Really? What's the worst ramen? Really? I don't want to talk about the negative stuff, but sometimes businessmen who give up their jobs for dreams of becoming a ramen chef, they take all of their savings and invest in the ramen, and they have this like fake confidence, and then they open up the doors and their ramen is so bad, and they go out of business in like 3 weeks. Nobody comes there. They're trying to perfect their recipe while they're running the shop. It doesn't work. It doesn't end well. Tsukemen usually available in ramen shops. For chain shops, they are. It just depends on the place. A lot of them that are famous don't offer tsukemen because it's a different kind. Some of them do and they'll separate it, and some of them don't. But I think tsukemen restaurants that just specialize in tsukemen, sometimes they will serve ramen and vice versa. But most often, I see them as specializing in tsukemen or specializing in ramen and having that also on the menu. And sometimes the ramen shop will have amazing tsukemen and vice versa. They'll have amazing ramen. But each shop has a speciality, and that would be tsukemen, in my experience, anyways. How do you rate Horyu ramen in Sapporo? I don't know what that is. I've eaten a lot of ramen, but it doesn't come to my mental database. We'll have to ask Cody from Ramen Guy Japan. He knows. I rate anything in Sapporo was always, it was pretty good. Where's ramen noodles cup from a vending machine in a manga cafe? That does sound pretty bad. Have you tried yuzu ramen? I have. Yuzu is more in udon because it comes down. Udon is very popular in Shikoku, and yuzu is quite big in Shikoku, as well as sadaku is another citrus fruit in Tokushima. They'll add that into the udon and it's such a great enhancement taste, the citrus. But it's pretty good in ramen too. That citrus taste takes off that salty edge to it a little bit and gives it a freshness that's really good, just like cilantro might do it in some dishes. Citrus is quite good. Some good questions here. I have a couple of friends like that. Okay, I'm just going through here. All right, I guess that's about it. I see here dessert ramen. I'm not really that interested. Abura soba it's okay, but it's not really. If you're hungry, you'll eat anything. All right, but abura soba was okay. Randy Santel was here about 2 years ago. He's a really popular competitive eater, and I got in touch with him and helped him out with one of his competitive eating episodes, which was abura soba. And he ate like 4 or 5 mega bowls of it, and he wasn't even close to what the Japanese champion had eaten. But still, watching Randy, I don't know if you guys know who Randy Santel is. He's an amazing competitive eater, one of the nicest guys. He is who he is too, right? And not a lot of people that are YouTubers, they're one way in front of the camera, they're another way in person. Randy's Randy, which I thought was really cool. Just a nice guy. He had enough space to go for a second dinner. So we went out and talked and had a beer and talked about his trip. He was in the last leg of a world tour, eating tour, before we started nursing school. And that guy could eat. He had 4 or 5 bowls of that abura soba, and I'd never seen anything like that. Just the professionalism and how serious he took the competitive eating. I had a lot of respect for him. He had fans coming. He had like 3x5s or 4x6 photos that he signed for them, which was really nice. That's not something I don't think I would ever take it that far, but he was really kind to his fans, and I just learned a lot from hanging out with him. All right, guys, so that seems about the end of this one here. It is a lot of sodium, but just take it in moderation. Don't try to eat too much of it. Don't try to be a hero and try to eat like 6 bowls before you leave Japan and not eat the airport or something. Just have 1 bowl. You don't want to disturb your neighbors that are sitting next to you on the plane by stinking like a bowl of tsukemen, which, depending on how far along you are on your flight, could be not a bad thing. All right, see you in the next live stream, probably tomorrow night. By the way, to Mr. Das, can I show the refrigerator? I don't know. Mr. Das, I actually have here for a midnight camping episode. This is a Sapporo beer that is a recipe from the Taisho era 100 years ago. All right, it's a very rare beer, so I've been saving this for an indoor camping episode, so that might be pretty cool to try. Sapporo Beer's Taisho era recipe. They haven't made this in a very long time, so I'm kind of excited about that. And I do have, by the way, one more thing. I do have, but wait, there's more. I click that like button if you can. I do have Pokemon Tokyo bananas to eat for an indoor camping episode, maybe tonight or tomorrow night. That should be a lot of fun as I stay at home and try to make it through the stay-at-home order. Not the state of emergency, which is not a stay-at-home order. It's just be careful. That's sort of what it means. All right, everybody, have a good day. Have a good night. That was a pretty good meal. Doesn't look as good as it did, but I'll have one more bite for all of you because John cares. Oh, I got some memo in that one. See you on Discord.